Well, I thought they were going to replace it with a breakaway pole. They just straightened it out. All right. It shows me how little they think of the people that live in this this part. I put all the ticket leaning stop signs over there, or leaning signs over there. Every one of them got replaced with a one with the newer font and the breakaway poles. That's one of the old poles right there. That's why we keep doing it. Is there a bug in my thing? Nope, that's sweat. So this one came off I came off one of them poles. I was gonna say, maybe I'll get lucky and there'll be a rock up here. Oh, the mean old near mix. So I'm looking at all the stats. Rents in Dallas went up to a ridiculous amount. Mortgages are getting more expensive. And there was a net migration away from this city for 23,000 people. A lot of the losses was because they cracked down on the immigrant community, and so all of a sudden there's less immigrants. Just little things rolling around my head. Dallas is the 9th worst place for senior living. Healthcare is in the bottom 25%, or 25, excuse me, the bottom half of the states. That's Texas in general. No, I'm sorry, that's Dallas. Dallas has poor healthcare. So, you look at all these metrics in the news telling you Dallas is not a place that you want to live. It's not a place you can grow old. Not a place with the best schools. Not a place you can walk around that well. And I'm reading about the restaurants. All the restaurants that kind of had some flair, or that kind of gave you an idea what local life was like, they're all closing down. Not all, excuse me, but there's a lot closing down. It's not looking good. I mean, it comes down to what I'm always saying. This is not a place where people live. It's a place where people work. So of course it's going to have poor health care. Of course it's going to have... Of course senior citizens aren't going to be, taken care of because they don't work. And as for the immigrant thing, that's Donnie. Demented Donnie, who got 20 U.S. soldiers killed so that Iran could have a better position. Trump always chickens out. He gave them a deadline, was talking all that toughness. They looked at him and they said, we told you what we want. He says, all right, I'm gonna give you 2 weeks ceasefire. Gee, thanks, 2 weeks. 2 weeks to try to polish the turd. That 2 weeks will pass, it'll last for another 2 weeks. Because Trump always chickens out. Donnie can't circus bark his way out of this one. All right. I think we're in early voting starts next week. Is it? Oh yeah, so it's next week. Oh man, I guess I better study up and figure out what in the world. It takes like a week to study. It's like taking a test every time you go vote. And on here, just because they got a D by their name doesn't mean that they're for the people. The D is meaningless. The D and the R are meaningless. We have two parties in this country. We have the center-right party and the far-right party. And that's it. And in this city, center-right is why you're getting what you're getting. Or the combination of center-right and far-right is why you're getting what you're getting. 40 years. "40 years of this country being run in a mostly right direction. And now, America can't build its own ships. America can't even fill an IV bag without the international community." That's why a little thing like the Strait of Hormuz getting shut down is such a big deal here and everywhere else. We have salt in the water, but apparently we don't have laboratories for purifying and compounding that kind of thing, so that has to be sent somewhere else. And unfortunately, come August, come the next hurricane season that's coming up here, you're going to find out, very sadly, what 40 years of a right-wing run country is going to be like. "40 years of FEMA cuts, undermining, 40 years of trickled out scientific research, 40 years of letting pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies dictate how healthcare should be run." "40 years of building more roads with heavier cars and investing less in transit. "40 years of building houses with a for-profit mentality. Not cynical, realistic, and skeptical of anybody who says otherwise. Anyway, I'm ranting here at what, 11:30, 11:40. I was thinking about it, I haven't seen a single cop. Last week they at least had 2 transit cops that were gassing up. What happened there? No, I keep thinking in one of my videos, maybe I was recording at the time, maybe I wasn't. Heard a June bug in distress. Now I'm starting to realize why you will never get like a truly left-wing country is kind of scary, kind of a scary thing. It's a stateless society, and our whole lives we've been raised to believe that somebody had to be in charge. Somebody has to have the final say, and we've had monarchies that turned into rotational monarchies now in the form of constitutional republics. Okay. And, well, there's a cop. So the idea of people ruling themselves is just, it seems ludicrous. There'll be madness and there'll be strongmen running around. We're getting up there in years. That's the brand new curb, man. Somebody hit that, kissed that, and broke it clean off. What do you suppose happened? Well, it's not like, I think that was just bad pour. I think the rain got into it and it just finally broke loose. No scuff marks on it. Maybe somebody ran up on top of it, hit a little bit, and just popped the crack open, but that's about it. No, I'm just thinking about in my lifetime what the absence of government would look like. And I guess I don't have to imagine too much, because in my neighborhood it kind of feels like in the place where there really isn't a lot of enforcement of anything, there isn't a lot of cohesion. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And for the most part, it's a collective. It works. It's working. Neighbors helping out neighbors, occasionally having group parties. When people get on each other's toes, they get together and let everybody know. Like if you got two things in abundance in a neighborhood, you really don't need the state. If you have communication and you have education, you pretty much don't need, I want to say cooperation too, but sometimes you don't. That comes with it. That's more like a byproduct. So they're still waiting for the pressure test to put the fire hydrant in. No, it's just... This is not my top priority. Like I said, this is Gay Donald Willis's territory, so she won't listen to me because my vote doesn't matter in her district. So I see all of this stuff. And that's up for the local residents to say something about. I like walking around here because it's slow. Not a lot of drama. These are educated people that know it, that can communicate with each other. I know they're not super rich, but they are financially stable. At least it appears that way. If I look up the demographics of this neighborhood, there's probably a lot of college-educated people here. And even if they aren't college-educated, a great majority of them at least have a high school education. I can't say that about my neighborhood. I've got a neighborhood where I thought it was middle school, and I was like, no, there's some guys who dropped out in grade school. Never went back. And they just kind of muddled through life, and here they are. My neighborhood skews older, but then again, I think this one skews older as well. They're definitely paying higher property taxes over here. At least on paper, it looks like they probably are. They're since they're educated, they probably protest and get a lot of breaks. In my neighborhood, though, it's homestead exemptions, maybe a few people paying the high taxes, and everyone else renters. We don't have a lot of renters, but we have enough renters to know that if you have a neighborhood full of renters, that's not a good deal. Because they have nothing, they're just temporarily there. They're not building a long-term future. That's not a knock on renters, it's just you got to give people the feeling that they have buy-in. And that's the difference. In this neighborhood, people have buy-in, so they care about what happens. You know, they got the things up there. They got the toppers. They're getting new sidewalks. They got the guys coming in here and repairing the water lines like they're supposed to be. And then you got me coming here every once in a while, creating a ticket and helping them out somewhat. Just my little way of, you know, paying it forward. I was like, thank you for giving me a nice sidewalk to walk on, so I'm gonna do whatever it takes to keep the sidewalks nice. All I really care about is the sidewalks, because that's the only thing that I have some modicum of control over. It's amazing the amount of power I have to take care of this, but at the same time, it's also annoying the amount of limitations that I have. If I was not working and I was doing this full time, I'd have a little, I'd buy, you know, like I said, when I say not working, I mean I'm financially stable and independent. You give me $1 billion and I'll have a grid network throughout this neighborhood. You give me $1 billion, the lights will always be on. There will be no potholes, because you will be telling me one day, and then the next day they'll be gone. I might be a tyrant, and like I said, I might take a lane or two away from you and turn them into bike lanes and transit lanes. You'll hate me at first, But then eventually you're like, oh, that was probably a good idea. $1 billion. It's not a lot because this is like $100 million neighborhood. I was looking at all that stuff they got earmarked for, like alleys. They got alleys that need to be built, sidewalks and curbs and streets that need to be replaced, pipes that have aged. We really don't need any money for cops because we don't have cops where I'm at. We've kind of proven defund the police because we don't have cops. We got the guys that come through every once in a while and they try to give people a hard time and then they leave them, but they're not going to stick around. There's no tooth to their enforcement. And some of them, God bless them, I have talked to a few other cops and they look utterly beat. Hey, one guy came through there, he was talking about all the flop houses we had at one point, and he just felt like, it sounded like he was overwhelmed. And there goes another problem that we have in my neighborhood, is there is an unacceptable amount of mental illness. That was a dead rat. Oh, apparently there's a lot going on over here. No, it's always the same. That idiot would have hit me. I don't know what the hell's going on. Okay, I see what this moron was doing. All right. No, it's not like I was blocking the lane. I was putting the thing up. But because I'm wearing all this reflective gear and lights, I look bigger than I actually am. Oh, there's more than enough room for this to be here. I just don't know why it's here.
Wait.
Now the weird thing is the light changed, but I got a wait signal on here. So what happened? Yep. Oh, midnight. It looks like we might be heading to the same place. Yeah, they got something going on over here. Huh? But she said something to me. What is it with these signs, man? Okay. See, now I can tell I'm close to a body of water because it's the lake. What do they call it? The Lake Island effect. Temperature dropped about 20 degrees. Why does it do that? Water pressure, water vapor, hydrogen bonding, heat convection. The same reason why it works on your water-cooled computer system. There's a large body of water drawing the heat from the atmosphere away from this location. It just absorbs it and carries it off in that direction, or that direction. Okay. Yeah, so here's my thing, is that it's not over, okay? So the 2-week ceasefire is not the same thing as hostilities have ended. It's just a 2-week ceasefire. Iran still controls the strait. They're still holding all the cards. We just had, in the ransom situation, I guess we've had a little bit of a reprieve. Now they're listening to the demand, stalling while they get their snipers in position. And then the markets were like, oh, oil's gonna start flowing through again. I was like, I didn't hear anything like that. I just heard that Iran was going to let conditional cargo go through the strait. But the thing is, it's their conditions. So the situation didn't change, the language did. And that's it. Anyway, now the guys are talking about recession. I think that's why we had a taco situation for the last month, is Trump's heard the same things. Donnie heard that his fucked up war, his stupid little war, was going to tank the economy, and that was the whole reason that he got elected. He's supposed to be the economy guy. If he's the economy guy, why does the economy keep tanking every time he's doing something? Everybody remembers that great economy we had during the pandemic, right? Smell of mildew. It's really wet over here. Of course, I always say it's mildew. It might be the smell of fertilizer, or the chemical fertilizer. It's hard to describe. It's a sweet chemical smell. I always associated it with mildew, but I think it's, some people are putting certain types of fertilizer, and then that fertilizer gets wet and it starts to produce this strange chemical fruity smell. I keep walking through here? How long before it starts getting more light over here? And you can really hear the crickets. No, I miss the old days when I used to be able to Man, it scares me how accurate this thing is. Okay. Pothole, Chapel Creek. That's at Chapel Creek. It's Cochran Chapel. That's good enough. I get the gist of what I'm saying. pothole is a sinkhole. And I imagine that they haven't called it in because they don't care. They go around it. There's not that many people coming down here. It's a dead-end street. It's not a high priority. I care because I know it's going to get worse. All right, let me turn off Halo for a second here. I keep meaning to come here during the day, and I just have so much to do during the night. Last night was about me, though. I took a night to treat myself. You see, do for me. I tell you, if it wasn't for the airport, this place would be completely quiet. Yeah, if I didn't have to work, I'd come by here on weekends and I would just take giant bags of stuff and I would just start laying out a little path here. One bit at a time. Anakin Skywalker complained that he hated sand. He never had the joy of experiencing mud. Like, you talk about him like he was an actual person. I don't know that he wasn't. I'm not saying that George Lucas had some kind of psychic connection or anything, but I'm saying that somewhere in another galaxy somewhere there was a very powerful space knight. Nah, I don't believe that. I was about to say it, but I was like, anyway, like I was saying, there was no space knight, a group of space knights. You know what, there might have been, I mean, I have to really be careful how I define this language. So how do I say this? There might have been, in a galaxy somewhere, a group of very powerful law enforcement, or yeah, law enforcement organization that walked around and had one stated purpose and then wound up changing to another. And within their ranks, there might have been some guy who was the most powerful of them all, and he turned on them. It's possible. Was there any space magic? Probably not. Were there any laser swords? Maybe. There might have been some kind of energy bladed energy weapons. And what seemed like magic was nothing more than maybe he was genetically enhanced, or maybe he was genetically and technologically enhanced. And the technology was so advanced, it seemed like magic. Anyway. And to make a long story short, he hated sand. He grew up on a terraformed desert planet and hated it. I like to think there's something deeper about than in his sand speech, or his sand spiel, or what's the word? This diatribe. What's the word I'm thinking? His manifesto. His manifesto on why sand is evil. Really, it was just a peek inside of the mind of Anakin Skywalker and how he deals with discomfort. Most people don't go off and off for 5 minutes about how they hate sand. Not only that, but he didn't read Padme's language. She was trying to say something positive and uppy and fun, and he could have reciprocated, but he grew up in a place where he said, yeah, I hate sand. Kind of reflecting on his negative experiences growing up as a slave. He didn't hate sand. He just hated that he grew up in a harsh environment that just happened to have a lot of sand. And the sand was not helping. That's the takeaway you should get from that. But it's Hayden Christensen delivering the lines, so you're kind of... What if it was like, Richard Burton, Richard Cox, or Brian Cox, any of the stoic kind of actors that every once in a while can just go off and say, what they're really thinking. Anyway. The sign's all covered up, you can't read it. But yeah, Anakin Skywalker never had to deal with mud. At least sand you can brush off. Mud sticks to you. And it's miserable. It's a substance that I utterly cannot. I hate it. I even hated it when I was playing football. People talk about I love mud games. I think I hate mud games. It sticks to you, makes you heavy. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to hit somebody and have them slide 15 yards, but you can do that on turf. Nah, man, I hate mud. No traction. The only cool thing about mud is when your uniform's covered in it, it makes you look like you've actually been working, but you're just a dirty little boy. I keep doing this. Well, no, I'm doing the right thing. If I had time, man. I'd have to sacrifice a lot to start making the Greenbelt look like something. It's not impossible. I need a month. Just one solid month without any interruptions or bullshit. 1 month where people aren't coming up to me and saying at the last minute, hey, I need you to do this for me. Hey, call me. Now, who is that? That's a cat. He's just looking at me talk to myself, wondering what the hell is going on here. Hey. Is he the only one? Usually I see like 2 or 3, so that's how I can tell he's a feral. I mean, he's a true feral. He ain't gonna interact with me at all. He's just eyeballing me with suspicion. I don't know if he knows that I see him, but he wasn't moving. I'm just moving on. I'm not sitting there trying to get me a quick meal of Felinus domesticus. Well, they finally got rid of the, no they didn't, still there. So apparently people are gonna think, hey, Valentine's Day, and get together. Yeah, I'm coming out here every week during the day, during the night. And I probably I need some daytime footage. And I keep saying, next week. I'll say next week, and I don't know, something will pop up on the calendar. Hey, we're having an emergency meeting for this thing. And I go up there and I say, how come I can't get sidewalks in my neighborhood? Looking like a doofus. What it must have taken to build this. You see, there was a clear-cut plan. Oh, there's some ants here. Huh. Like, I'm walking on this sand. How deep is the sand? Not walking on the sand now, but you get my point. Like, what are you doing tomorrow? I gotta wait for a contractor who's gonna start a project on the house that'll probably last 2 weeks. And that's gonna be having to stay up for that and have someone deal with that. Thankfully, they're just putting up a driveway. That's not something that requires me to just utterly laser focus on things. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a great driveway. It just has to be one the city looks at and says, yeah, we're okay with that. And then I'll park a car on it every once in a while. Why a driveway? That's what Mother wanted. So yeah, I know. Mommy issues, daddy issues. I got issues. I haven't met a person who doesn't have issues. The reason you never meet perfect people is because they're busy. The whole world is like trying to get a piece of them. The perfect person will always have something to do, because the perfect person is like a chemically stable element. Has all the electrons in its shell. It's sitting there. It's nice and comfortable. Nothing's going to change for it. And along comes one of these free radicals that wants to attach itself. No matter what, it's trying to get that. It's trying to get the electrons it needs. So it'll either stick to that person, or it'll steal from that person. That's why it's hard to find perfect people. They constantly got something sticking to them, or they got people trying to steal from them. It takes a lot of work to keep that from happening. Okay. My van gaslit again. People telling me, see, that's what I'm saying. I don't see it like 2 weeks in a row after putting in the complaint. No more drips. You send this little code enforcement person, she tells me something, I just roll an eyes, I ignore her. She was like, you're nobody. I don't even know why they bother to have you wasted time with an email. I'm not talking to you. Oh man. I guess next week that can be my quest, is to try to figure out what happened. I haven't done that in a long time. It takes, because it's 7 miles. But walk up Greenbelt, walk down it, go to Bachman Lake, and go under the bridges. There's a missing marker. Why is that important? This is a rough area. This has the potential to be a rough area. Something could happen. Something could go down. There's, like I said, there's mentally ill people with sharp things. So, because there's mentally ill people with sharp things, it would be nice to have a marker that says, hey, by the way, I'm being attacked by a mentally ill person with a sharp thing. Oh, and I'm next to this. Hey, there's going to be this marker here. The thing I don't like about the markers, I don't know if the city gave all of their guys. People are renting over here. Either that, or they, once again, illegally parking cars. Nope, there are people living here. Where was I going before my trail of thought trailed off? You know, I don't think the city employees have maps with the markers on it. Oh, I know exactly where he is. I like to think that they do. They have some simplified version of the Argus system that they type in BLT 108 and the map automatically goes there and it drops down and it says, yeah, they're over here. Get over there in 5 minutes before they get all, you know, stabby stabby or shooty shooty. So these are the technical terms. But we're missing a marker. That's 110. And it's crazy because it makes no logical sense. Like they're basically saying this whole lip comes out and then goes back over there. But the lip doesn't fit in, like it's not a lip, it's just you're up here and you're down. If it was a lip, it would go back that way. It'd be 110, 111, 112, 113, and it would come back around to here, but it doesn't, there's no way to come back around. It's just you go up and you go down. If you're in the hotel, maybe that's why the BLT markers exist. But right about, as I keep walking here, there's a missing marker. There should be a marker somewhere over here. It should say BLT 109. And when they were doing all this, they took it out. The city had its reasons. If it's a city, it's probably dumb ones. But my guess is they were doing construction, took it out, and just never bothered to put it back in. There's a lot of that happens. It's really annoying, where the guys were working on something and somebody didn't go through their mental checklist or whatever, and it just never got put back. So there should be, yeah, I'm not, the other one's not visible. I think BLT 109 is supposed to be here. Anyway, it's a whole nother quest. I have about 20 tickets that I haven't even started on because I have to sit here and go through all the footage, I have to pull out the frames, put the report together, put it on the map, because apparently giving them an address isn't good enough. I gave them 2500 West Northwest Highway because that's what the DCAD says that Bachman Lake is. But the city of Dallas says, you silly Billy, we don't have just one 2500 West Northwest Highway, we have 3 or 4. So which one are you referring to? Oh, I'm glad you asked that. Here's the GPS coordinates. Here's the street intersection. Here's the location, here's the map. And still, they didn't read any of that. And they went over to some other fucking location and found something, but it was in the wrong location. It wasn't in the location I reported in. So I'm like, how is it I can give you all of this and you still screw it up? And what that tells me is I can put all the details I want into a ticket. I can give them everything. I can give them video. I have video. I'm going to be posting video and giving them links. And they just don't look at it. I'm like, well, what are you looking at? Sometimes what happens is, it's the same, you two useless cops. Sometimes what happens is I create one ticket, then they take that ticket, send it to another group, close out my ticket, open up another ticket, and all the original information I had in here, they couldn't even be bothered to put it over in the new ticket. So I'm having to explain myself all over again. I was like, well, what was the point of me putting all that in the ticket? Oh man, here we go. Take off my glass. Yep. I got another encampment forming on the underneath the bridge. It's sad to talk about people in need and in distress in the same light as finding a wasp nest in your backyard.
Wait to cross Northwest Highway at Marsh. Wait.
Why isn't he going? There we go. But yeah, that was a waste of time. I put a ticket in, I was like, hey, fix that. It's got rebar showing. And somebody came by and just whacked it in one weekend. So I'm not gonna put another ticket in because it's bad design. I was like, well, this is the waste of concrete. And to be really honest with you, I don't care. It was just something I had done out of, I was like, well, let's be nice to the city. Who knows? But I should care because the storm drain's pretty important. So, is that a light there? No, it's not a light. I'm trying to figure out the lights out. Better late than never, I guess. Let's see what else. I don't have anything else going over there. But yeah, each ticket could probably easily take about 15 minutes. And then you look up 3 or 4 hours has gone by. Maybe more, maybe it's 5 hours, probably more like that. Yeah, if I had more time, if I was in control of my space. It's a lot of ifs and not if. Who says an if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all be settled for Christmas. So I'd have to start giving up sleep to get things done. Because no one else is willing to sacrifice their time with me for me to get other things done. No, this is, I need this. I need you. I'm gonna take your time now. So then I stop offering it. And then people get mad at you, and you know what? I'm still sleeping good at night. Always something to watch out for. Once again, I don't need to do that. That's another group's job. Oh, that was the other thing every time evictions went way up in Dallas. Well, it's been a minute. Another rabbit. You think, did he hop the fence? It's like, no, they're burrowing creatures. This dude actually dug under it. Is that Ed St. James? I mean, not her, that's somebody covering her song. Just need to walk away. Okay, he came through the gap. All right. I just don't understand why that guy's still in business. When they came out with the metal plates, so is he saying that he can get you, he can even get you the metal plates? Mighty bold declaration. The old Mitsubishi Eclipse. Man, I hated working on those cars. That's the exact model I was working. That was a 96. It's a 30-year-old car. I'm surprised it lasted that long. Shitty Japanese Chryslers is what they were. That's a cat.